Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane Podcast, episode number 75 today with usual hosts, myself, Aarav, Callum, and Tom. And before we get into this one, again, the usual plug for the SoundCloud and iTunes. We're now on audio only, so you can check us out on the go, whether you're on Android or an Apple device. Just search for the Pitlane Podcast on either the iTunes podcast app or SoundCloud. Both are linked below on the YouTube video if you're watching us via the video version. But yeah, before we get into the main bit, we'll be talking about some news that's revolved in the world of Formula One, and then mainly the predictions for the season in Australia as a whole, like we usually do for the last 2 years now. Just a quick kind of announcement, actually, that we have now launched a Patreon page for the podcast specifically. So there's going to be a link to that in the description of the video. So we've done a bit of changing behind the scenes on how we record the podcast. We've mentioned it before, actually, I think, on episode 73, I think. But essentially, we've moved to local recording our webcam. So you would have noticed, especially for Tom, who's on my, I think, right or left, I can't remember, whatever side he is on in the video, you'll see his webcam hasn't been lagging too much. Same with Cal as well. We've all had some lag issues in the past, and that's because we used to record it on Skype or Discord via that system. Now we locally record it, but that means we've had to move. It takes a long time to actually edit and produce the video podcast, basically. So we're moving it from Sunday to Monday for a race week one. So when the race comes out, the podcast, usually we try and rush it out and kind of get it done as fast as we can and upload it on Sunday. We're now moving that to Monday, and we're going to try and just ensure the quality is there. In doing so, though, unfortunately, being frankly honest with you guys, that will mean we're on purpose giving up a lot of opportunity to maybe get post-race buzz views, because a lot of people obviously search for race reviews or just race-related stuff on YouTube on the Sunday. But we don't want to kind of just rush for that. We don't want to grab for the easy views or anything like that. We want to go for rather just having a quality product. At the same time, also, as I said, we have an audio version now. Obviously, if you listen to it, you're not going to bother watching the video. So those of you who do listen, we do appreciate that, but you're also not going to be watching like an ad on YouTube. That kind of helps us out directly. We kind of split it between us three. So that's why we set up the Patreon, to maybe hopefully help us out in that way. And for those of you, obviously we get tweeted quite a lot, and comments below in videos of really wanting to wait for the next week's podcast. You can't wait to listen to it. And so any of you guys who are really into the podcast, maybe have an extra $1 here to kind of spare. You might want to, support us directly like that. And that'll go into stuff like, not only, like I've just said, kind of making up for any kind of post-race buzz kind of stuff we're losing, but also at the same time, equipment upgrades. You might have noticed that Callum there in the bottom has had a broken headset for quite a while now. It's very, very broken to the point where it's nearly falling off his head. So we're hoping, with the Patreon, that we can start to kind of improve equipment, not just Callum's headset, but just stuff like lighting potentially in the future, improving lighting for all three of us, or improving the audio even, maybe getting software to try and alter the audio and edit it post-recording to make the audio version of the podcast for SoundCloud and iTunes even better than it is right now. But you get what I mean. We're kind of just really wanting to step up the quality as much as we can. But to do that, we sort of need a little bit of help from you guys if you can. So, check out the link. You don't have to, obviously. We're going to continue as usual. Nothing's going to really change, apart from, like I said, we're now moving Race Week podcast to definitely a Monday now, because we physically can't actually do it on a Sunday anymore. But yeah, if you do have a spare $1 here and there, be sure to go check out the Patreon page. There's 2 different tiers, but you can get more details over on that page. But let's just get into the podcast then. So going through news in Formula One, I guess the kind of the biggest headline thing really, Callum was mentioning it before we started recording, was the FIA lost someone and Ferrari gained someone. I can't remember his name, Callum, so you'll have to take it from here, really.
Well, he's French, so I am not very good with the French accent, but Laurent Mekies, I think is how you pronounce his name.
I think that's a decent attempt, mate.
Yeah, I'll roll with that one. I never did French at school. I was always a German kid. But basically, he has left, if you haven't seen the news already. We've seen a bit of controversy in the past with Renault and Marcin someone, I can't remember his last name, where an FIA member of the FIA move over into a team, and you can see why. It does sound like a bit of a boring job being in the FIA, because you're just watching over a sport rather than being in the tension and just the pure passion of working in an F1 team. And Mekies has decided to give up his role of deputy race director and being the head safety delegate of the FIA. And he's now going to be moving to Ferrari. And that's not an issue, apart from the fact that this is breaking this non-legally binding but gentleman's agreement of you need to give a certain amount of time of gardening leave, so you're not taking information from the FIA to a team which could be deemed a little bit unfair. But this is only a gentleman's agreement, so it's kind of a bit wish-washy. I don't know what you two think about it, but I feel like it has been kind of blown out of proportion, but it does seem a little bit backstabby.
Hi.
There's
I'm
Tom
on this
over
podcast. Yeah, I think this is an argument without substance, if you like, an unwritten rule, which, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the benefit is in this for both parties involved. I understand Ferrari gained someone who is especially involved with I believe, the head protection situation.
Yeah.
But what is that going to mean in terms of Ferrari still trying to win a Drivers' or Constructors' Championship? I don't really know, because in theory, any rules that he knows, Ferrari should know. So therefore,
emphasis on should.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand Ferrari can maybe miss a thing or two, but then again, they do have some assistance. But overall, I don't see the big fuss about it, to be honest. That's why I'm a bit confused. I can understand maybe there's some sort of benefit to it, but it's like the Renault situation 12 months ago. So, yeah, I'm not really sure how to call this one. It's a bit of an interesting one, to be fair.
It's just the sportsmanship kind of argument, really, because it's a sport, and obviously it's a gentleman's agreement, so it's not like binding. Like other gardening leaves have been contractually there. A lot of the time, aerodynamicists will have gardening leaves in their contracts. But yeah, like Cal said, this is not binding, so it's kind of just a sportsmanship issue, which I guess Ferrari probably the most well-known team to deploy very political moves here and there in the background, little things said in the background in the paddock to kind of get their way sometimes. So I guess maybe it's just another thing for other teams to kind of complain about that when that happens. Especially I think McLaren kicked up the biggest fuss, didn't they? I think
they did.
I think especially Boulier, I think, was like kind of adamant that why is that a thing? So I don't know. From that point of view, it's kind of like McLaren are complaining about something again, like just because they seem to be complaining about a lot of stuff. To be fair,
it's interesting to be fair though, because we've had this with James Allison, haven't we? Where he went from Ferrari to Mercedes, and there was a good couple of months before Allison could really get his hands on in Mercedes because of contractual reasons. But to me, it looks like more of a loss for the FIA. Because if anyone doesn't know, Charlie Whiting, who starts the race, obviously he's the race director. Between him getting to the starting grid and race control, someone's got to be in charge of maybe deploying safety cars or red flags or any other things that the race director needs to do. So Mekis becomes the deputy race director, and he was looking like the sort of guy to be taken over from Charlie Whiting, because obviously Charlie Whiting, he's not going to be around for too many more years. I know he's been at the helm for a long time, so they do need someone with a good amount of experience, and he was building that up, so it is a bit of a shame on that one. Plus, he was the major guy enforcing safety along with the head protection, so it'll be interesting how they move forward with the Halo, because they need... obviously, he's not the only guy that was working on it, but the spearhead. He was the guy. Yeah, he was a spearhead pushing forward the Halo. So it would be interesting if someone that came in didn't like the Halo, just thought, sod it, we're not going to have the Halo anymore. It's my job.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
After all the arguments we've had as a sport and a community, just takes one guy leaving his job to make it happen, to make the change that a lot of people want to see. Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting though. But to be fair, I think the biggest loser out of all this was Martin Brundle, who made himself look like a slight idiot on Twitter. I don't know.
I saw that. Yeah, that was interesting. That was a bit off the rails. Kind of like, okay, that wasn't really needed. Also, you kind of sound out of touch in terms of using phrases that you think are the correct phrase to use.
Snowball or snowflake.
Yeah, snowflake. But it's just kind of like, you just sound like an absolute prat.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't overly keen on that one.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, I saw lots of people tweeting, like quote tweeting it, but I was just like, I just can't be bothered, because it's just kind of that thing where it's just like.
Well, the way his tweet was made, it was almost like there's no respect in Formula One, but yet he's the sort of guy to push forward respect. In a way.
Yeah, just kind of, I don't know. I get what he's going for, like a dog eat dog sort of thing, but it's like, it's also a sport, mate. It's not above any other sport. Every single sport should have the same level of sportsmanship, which is the same sort of argument that we have when it comes to things like Ferrari still getting special payments and stuff like that. It's a tricky one because it's not exactly like every other sport, but at least in my opinion, I don't know about you two, I feel like it should go more towards like any other sport. It should be there should be sportsmanship amongst everything. There should be that kind of level of professionality, and obviously F1 doesn't have that at the moment because it's also on the only sports that the teams competing have a say in the rules they're competing with. But that's the sport we have.
Yeah, that's what we've been given at the moment.
Yeah.
But
all with good time. Hopefully changes will occur, but for now we're stuck with.
For now it's a very big jigsaw.
The Antique Roadshow.
That's a good phrase. Yeah, that's a good phrase, Tom.
I love it.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot of poking and prodding. And on that note, the alternate prodding kind of thing from the FIA was obviously we mentioned it in the last podcast, and I've done it in some tech videos about Renault's blown exhaust system, and so the FIA have kind of clarified that a little bit, and so interesting just to maybe get any kind of words from you two as well on it, maybe what you think in the future or what might happen with it. But Renault basically said they've been allowed to carry on with their exhaust blowing. They've got a special bit of material on the underside, the flap on the rear wing to protect from the heat there. But FIA have kind of stated again, kind of throwback to the old V8 days from blown diffusers and, just around 2012, 2013 when there's a lot of that trickery, especially for qualifying. The FIA have said Renault can't use special engine modes to kind of get extra exhaust gas pumping out there mid-corner maybe to get some downforce, even though it's not actually as effective as a blown diffuser. So I'm surprised they had to really go for a full prong sort of statement like that. But who knows? Red Bull, you never know. Red Bull might rock up and just kind of think about some magical genius thing like He's just going to have a absolute field day with it maybe, and like find some freaky way to gain monsters of time maybe. So so
he was the developer of the blown diffuser, wasn't he? Back in 2011.
Well, Red Bull had definitely the most kind of extreme thing where I think was it especially Monza, I want to say. I think that's when
turn 1 or something.
Yeah, I think that's when people first kind of really realised how good Red Bull's was, because it was almost like Vettel would get on throttle in the middle of parabolic or like in the middle of turn 1's apex to get extra downforce. It's like it just doesn't make sense as a driver, but that's how those cars worked.
It's quite an interesting argument, to be fair, because obviously the whole hybrid era is trying to push efficiency of engines and fuel.
Yeah.
And then you've got some team over there going, we might save the fuel, but we're just going to use it mid-corner instead, and we're just going to burn a load, try and get some extra downforce, which that's what I love about Formula 1. It goes in one direction. The team's like, nope, we're going to go this way instead, and we're going to try and get some extra downforce.
Yeah, that's a nice idea, but how about this?
The only thing really out of this I think you can take is just the fact that the FIA just sort of setting the rules and the boundaries to make sure no one starts finding the loopholes. So they just sort of, okay, we can see what you're doing here, but what you're doing is enough, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That is about
don't
it,
go any further.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way, because then you really just don't want, especially right now, because we already have a situation where it's still not quite. Mercedes has still got that edge in lots of different areas. So it's kind of like if something else was to occur where there's a loophole, it's kind of like what's that game? Like whack-a-mole. It's like you're trying to hit down all these OP advantages
but
kind of all at the same time. Like no, please don't do that now. So,
it's like just one big hammer and just hammer the whole board.
But it's always been that. It's always been like that. The fine
That's
balancing
just Formula 1,
with the FIA and whatnot.
But I think that's what we like about it. But
definitely.
On a lighter note, should we? This is going to be quite an awkward joke if none of you guys are aware of the Gandhi's flip-flop analogy. But McLaren have probably pulled one of the best marketing stunts. It's not even a stunt; it's real. To get sponsorship of flip-flops on their Halo, and we love. To be fair, I think all of us were pretty annoyed by the end of it, of this whole flip-flop joke about the Halo. Yeah. But I think McLaren have just taken that joke and just thrown it all the way down the field and gone, let's have a little bit more of a laugh at that. But that was brilliant bit of marketing from McLaren to get Gandhi's as well.
It just had to be called Gandhi's flip-flop. it could have been called Mark's Flip Flop or any other name. Gandhi's Flip Flop.
The fact it's a flip flop sponsor is like banterous enough. The fact it's Gandhi's is where they're taking the P word a little bit, but fair play to them because I believe it's for a good cause. So
yeah, I think all the proceeds, I think all of it goes to a charity.
Yeah.
So it's
Fair
kind of
play.
win-win. The Gandhi's company gets a nice bit of PR there in Formula One, and also a bit of like a meme PR on Twitter. McLaren open up a bit more as more and more they're becoming more of a kind of open team rather than a very closed off one they used to be under Ron Dennis. And they kind of embrace the joke, and at the same time they're both earning money for a good cause. So fair play, good old Gandhi's flip flop.
They'll be getting out of the car in Malaysia, not Malaysia. Oh no, Singapore. That's not even on the calendar anymore. Singapore. They'll be getting out of the car with a mouth drier than Gandhi's flip flop.
To be fair, I wouldn't put it past them at some point, just using the flip flops to get the PR in.
Probably will. Yeah, they actually will.
Along with it was that amazing picture as well of Stoffel and Alonso, where they looked like they were fully ready for a summer in like Ibiza or something.
Honestly,
Hawaiian shirts, and then the absolute amazing combo, socks and sandals. Love it. Love it.
I seriously judge Van Dorn with that. To be fair, they are pushing who can be the best driver pairing, teammates.
It's like a funny, banterous pairing, definitely.
That is basically a battle between Nando and Stoffel versus Max and Daniel. And I think that, to be fair, the Red Bull boys are getting a little bit of the run for the money because Van Dorn and Alonso get along very well.
They've really grown as teammates, I feel, especially in the second half of last season and over the winter periods. I think, especially with the kind of, they've had to themselves joke a little bit about the situation they're in with McLaren, in a way, with their engine sometimes. I think they've both kind of got on with it. And actually, interesting note, that Grand Prix documentary on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
That for the first time kind of showed me at least that how much Alonso really self-aware of, he in that documentary, there's so many times on the launch where he was just joking about, we have a fantastic car. It's an amazing car. When the PR person was telling him what to say, sort of like, it's a fantastic car. It's the best car. We got it. Like, he's just sort of very self-aware of that whole kind of charade and kind of whole side of F1, and he kind of pokes fun at it almost in his own way. And he can do, because he's Fernando Alonso. He's a two-time world champion, so he can't do it a leeway. Whereas Stoffel maybe took him a while to get comfortable enough to crack some jokes here and there about the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that with any driver, though. They become a bit more
definitely.
comfortable.
And speaking about marketing, F1 have now launched a global marketing campaign. For the first time, they're really going to be trying, which is kind of so F1, we're going to try now.
Keyword, yeah.
Yeah, trying. They're going to be trying to do a lot more advertising in the digital space and just generally also stuff like billboards and stuff like that. So they did a trailer for the season, which was a really cool trailer. I actually tweeted it out. And it was a really
good.
Nice trailer. Yeah, you both liked it?
Yeah.
Production was for a minute, how much stuff is in there for a minute.
The editing.
Yeah.
The editing, when it flashes various times across all 10 cars on boards and particular camera shots, really good. And then obviously the whole, it's just the details which are really good. And also, I don't know if you've seen any of the posters, but we've seen a few tweeted out from Australia, and they look really nice. They look really, really nice. So,
those are the sort of pose that they're wanting to do.
That's what they use this sort of thing to justify the logo change last season because they couldn't do this stuff before.
Fully.
It's good to see that they're already putting it into motion. Also not just that F1 TV as well, which we didn't really mention on the last podcast, but also another big thing they're working on. So they're definitely backing up what they said and actually putting their money where their mouth is at the minute, which is fair play to them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's exactly like the whole poster kind of thing. All those sort of things F1 didn't used to do. So that's why they've kind of launched this global marketing campaign to make sure that, I think we had a few journalists like Luke Smith kind of saying straight away at the airport, there's billboards right there of F1 where there didn't used to be. But now there are.
For that.
And the trailers popping up on screens here and there. And there's been more trailers. The trailers have been distributed a lot more around, not just on TV, but also just on social media and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I'm interested to say,
Go on.
Is that trailer appearing on cable TV? Or on YouTube? Because
potentially, especially
I don't think
stuff
F1
Sky,
have ever...
But I'll give an example. It's very basic clever marketing. So they made a trailer which is good enough for not just YouTube, it's also good enough for Instagram, because Instagram videos are only a minute long unless you want to start swiping. But if you just want a one video clip in Instagram as a post, then 1 minute is the key. It's all the small details where they've really got it nailed on. And yeah, it's really, really good. It's really, really exciting. And to be fair, I'd like to see some of those sort of positivity and optimism sort of trickle down to some particular other areas, more specifically the F1 game side of things. But that's just me wishful thinking, because this time last year we was like, oh yeah, we'll never see esports in F1, and then 3 months later there you go. So who knows? But overall,
huge strides at the minute.
I do want to say one thing about them, and that thing I've actually forgotten about, so we can continue on until I remember that particular part of what I was going to say. So
I say that was amazing.
That was the most professional way to just go, I forgot my thought.
I forgot what I was going to say.
There we go.
That sentence.
Go on then.
It came back to me. It's no coincidence since Liberty Media have been in F1, and for some reason I don't understand the people that say Liberty Media out when they're doing everything within their power to do without the stuff that's out of their power, i.e., for example, the 2021 rules. There's not much they can do about that. That's already set in stone. But it's no coincidence last year Formula 1 was the fastest and also the platform that most grew on social media out of all of the sports in the world. Formula 1 gained the most followers, especially on Twitter and Instagram, more than any other sport, like NFL, MLB.
Speaking about marketing.
Absolutely anything. So what they're doing is right, and these sort of things only are going to increase the reach the sport can have. Yeah. So that's really, really good for all of us.
I don't know whether we mentioned about Dua Lipa being headlined for Baku. Did we speak about that in the last podcast or not?
No, we spoke about it.
And this is something that I felt extremely passionate about. Not because I like Dua Lipa, not because I like music or anything like that. It's the fact that so many people were so ignorant at the fact that it was like, who's this? Why have we got a singer at a Grand Prix? We're only there to watch.
Oh, that.
Only there.
And
do what it is. What I want Liberty Media.
So hard at that, because it's like, okay, yes, well done. Thanks for pointing out you don't listen to like pop music or mainstream music.
At the minute,
move away. It's not for you. It's to bring in new people, and also just younger fans who just want to have a good time at
a double standard
weekend. Yeah,
because in F1, F1's never been good at promoting the sport. Bernie's always never put any of the money from F1 into what they're doing now, which is this marketing campaign to advertise. So these sort of things don't just bring new viewers into the sport, it also brings in the younger ones, because right now it works both ways. Normal people don't really know about F1 because F1 in the past hasn't really done much to let itself basically notice. Then again, in return, F1's always had a more of an older audience, which also does not connect with the modern trends in society anyway. So it's good to sort of break that barrier, and hopefully that will benefit everybody on both ends. So obviously for those of us that do know who Dua Lipa is, then that is obviously great news for us. Also Justin Timberlake last year, and just more of this stuff.
They're just like last year or so, they've just done more and more. Especially it's been COTA, obviously, is the big one. That's where JT was. That's where what was it? Taylor Swift was the weekend.
And also, not being biased, but F1 Live was a big step in the right direction for fans, because if you go to the city centres, which is the most populated areas of every country, of course you're going to attract those who are passionate to F1, but also you're basically ruining everybody's day and getting in the way of public transport. Therefore, they probably have a day off work. Therefore, I'll just go check out the F1, because why not? And it's good to see that they go to different cities. I think this year F1 Live, I think the rumour is up 4 times, and they're going to go to like Marseille. And,
they want to do
different sort of cities. I don't think they're doing London again, but it's going to be different sort of cities this time around. I think also in the US as well. So yes, it's all really, really good so far.
Also, on top of all this marketing stuff, do you know how Lewis Hamilton gets a lot of flack for being the celebrity of? Just the celebrity of the grid compared to everyone else who's a bit reserved. Kind of like Vettel, for example. He's not a celebrity icon. He's a Formula 1 driver, and that's about it. Lewis Hamilton is classed as celebrity. He gets a lot of hate from the current F1 fans, but you look at it, Mercedes have managed to grab Tommy Hilfiger. Is that how you say the name?
Yeah.
What a huge clothing brand. All of Mercedes teamwear is made from that company now. And you cannot deny, because obviously I don't know if you two saw the Hamilton Gigi Hadid.
I saw the advert,
That one. Hadid. That marketing video. You can't deny that Lewis
not-
Hamilton's got a huge.
I think we mentioned this part last podcast. Did
It's
we not?
magic in a bottle.
I think.
I don't think we
It
did.
just adds on to it.
Well,
It
no,
literally
we just
adds
mentioned
on.
how the sponsor does not go with the color and the
No, I think
car
no.
scheme.
I swear we mentioned that Hamilton was the one that orchestrated that deal because I think that was the
Maybe.
whole point.
Yeah, but they've pushed
think-
it even further now because he's an
Yeah, they
ambassador.
pushed.
isn't he?
Yeah, they pushed it even further. He's now an ambassador. Yeah, that you can see that going off. Maybe I'm pretty sure we did mention it before, but
Yeah.
going off that, you can see why Hamilton was so eager to pull the strings, and he was the one who basically pulled all the strings because now his team get to benefit. Bolter, him personally, as a brand, get to benefit of he's now the ambassador of that, and so after his life in Formula One, or even when he's still in F1. He likes to do a lot of stuff away from the races, and so those are one of the kind of passions he wants to get involved in. Get involved with a brand like that. Obviously, get involved with friends that are also with a brand like that. Even though Hadid is actually leaving Tommy Hilfiger this year, I think the last lineup she did, I think like last month or so, I think that's like her last collection. So the irony that she's leaving the brand now, but anyway, like you can see the connection there. You can see the connection there, and
you can see it all basically come full circle. You can see this being pushed. Marketing is being pushed forward in every sense, and with Dua Lipa, it's like basically any market. I think F1 fans need to realise that on the face of it, marketing doesn't look amazing, doesn't look fun, and it does look a bit pointless. But in the long-term game,
It means so much.
just trust the people that are doing it. They are doing the right things
Yeah,
here, and I
'cause
think
the thing
like
is,
us three are quite media savvy. Like we are very aware of the media side of just life at the minute, because obviously the media is being pushed forward through YouTube, through every piece of social media possible, and it's working. And you can definitely tell it.
I think that the only major flaw with F1 is that it's still for some reason decided to renew its contract with Snapchat. Bad move.
I don't
Snapchat is
see
a
the
dying
point of that.
platform.
Yeah, Snapchat's like died, especially with its
Snapchat
main
is
user
dying.
base.
If F1 linked up with Instagram, which is still, in my opinion, growing so much, then we're talking serious growth then. But that aside, also on the topic of clothing, it's not exactly new news, but I don't know if any of you two noticed, but Renault, which is quite interesting, they haven't got the sort of, they haven't got Nike or Puma or Adidas or none of that. This year they've got Le Coq Sportif, which is also a French brand, and also traditionally a bit of an elegant sportswear sort of well-known French brand. So also that's a bit of a different one because that's not one you typically associate with racing. Like, in racing you've always got the same ones like Alpine Stars or, Puma, the same sort of people all the time. So that's also a bit of a different sort of left field sponsorship for them. So overall it's all really, really good. And I'm just hoping... I think what would really do it for me is, for example, obviously, Ferrari and McLaren are crying out for a major sponsor. It'd be interesting to see if, for example, let's say Ferrari were to get sponsored by YouTube, for example. Just a random out there example, I'm just saying. But
something
what I'm saying
red.
is, something associatable, if that's even a word, to the 21st century,
something
where we are right now.
Something a bit modern.
Not exactly, I don't know, even though it'd be cool, Marlboro would not be a step in the right direction.
No, it's too
I've
old
always
school now.
I've always maintained that kind of aspect from like that side of point of view. Like a lot of people obviously have that nostalgia, but it's just like just doesn't make sense now. Like it's like no one advertises cigarettes anywhere now, so it does not make any sense. Yes, there's the nostalgia.
Smoking in itself is dying out.
In itself now kind of it's gone the complete 180 of like it's really actually quite in poor taste if you advertise it anywhere. So it's like there's that nostalgia of the cars like kind of look the same like they used to. It's kind of like, but like away from that on the if you scratch the surface away, it's kind of like that makes no sense whatsoever in any kind of argument. And it's like I guess the only argument would be alcohol, but that's the thing. Society still there's much you can have arguments about that, but the fact remains that society still is fine with alcohol advertising, whereas cigarettes really gone downhill.
Yeah.
But it's like a final closer thing on the whole. The thing Callum started off with kind of having a kind of not surprise to it, but more of a kind of facepalm moment at people maybe backlashing it a little bit. The thing is with bringing stars like that or just doing marketing campaigns like that is it brings in people that might buy a Grand Prix ticket to go see that person or go see that thing. And then there just happens to be some race cars there, and you never know. If they're that, if they're a younger fan, if they're a younger person, people are quite impressionable that age. You might just watch, the start of the race, and it might be exciting enough for them to be like, oh, hang on, okay, so I might actually catch that.
How did
Yeah.
everyone that's watching this podcast now, including us three, how did we get into watching F1?
Exactly.
We
You
just
catch
randomly sat down
a
and watched
glimpse,
a
you catch a
race, yeah.
moment, or you get
Who doesn't love fast cars? Simple
yeah,
as
or you
that.
get brought to it by your parents or something like that. So it could be a case of okay, so I don't know, the father likes F1 as a whole, the son or daughter might not, but they like the singer
They
or
like
you know
Dua Lipa,
person,
yeah.
who's going there. So they go along, they have a good weekend. The father likes the F1, and then also maybe there's opportunity for the kid to get into F1 whilst they're also going to enjoy the concert or something like that. Same thing if you step it up a level. Let's take us three. We went to Silverstone last year.
I was going to bring this point up.
Yeah, like although it was, for a lot of you guys, it was your very first Grand Prix. Obviously,
And still something to do.
yeah,
in the
it was
night.
it was still awesome for you guys to witness the F1 for the first time, in front of your eyes. But at the same time, I think you two will agree with me. At the end of the day, as well, by the end of Saturday, I think we're kind of just enjoying each other's company and the fact that we're together at the racetrack, and it was
If you go with the right people,
it was that
and you
festival
don't take the
vibe.
racing if you don't take the racing so seriously and you appreciate the hours outside of the racing and you take full advantage of it, then you, like I said, it's a festival vibe. It's very, very fun. So,
And that's exactly what I think F1 needs to be. Like they said, 21
Yeah.
Super Bowls, 21 festivals. Make it like a real
Defo.
nice
Well,
event.
let's say,
you actually
I
wanna
don't
go
know,
to.
someone was headlining Silverstone last year. That had just topped off that weekend.
Well, exactly, yeah,
perfectly.
but that's-
Someone on
yeah,
Sunday
someone
night,
never had
Sunday
it
night,
at
the time.
Sunday night
I
dropped
did say at the
off.
time, like, we was like such a good vibe and like such a good few days. But imagine if we'd seen like even just
someone
Justin
big.
Timberlake live, like the Dakota one, for example, anyone, to give us something. But like obviously not so much UK, but for example, Araf, I don't know about you, but like when we went to F1 Live, I don't really watch concerts that often, but seeing, for example, the Katy Chiefs, Bastille live in person, it creates a different atmosphere.
It was a
anyway,
cool vibe,
so
like, especially
that-
when
like
at
the
the end of the
more
day-
these things happen, it's really cool.
Yeah, like at the end of the evening, the end of the event, they did that. That was sick. Also, obviously, me going to Abu Dhabi, that was the same sort of thing. They had good headliners there.
Mate, you saw Craig David.
Yeah, I
went to
saw
see
Craig David, Martin Garrix, and J. Cole all at Abu Dhabi for the Grand Prix. So it was all built into the Grand Prix. So that was like it elevated that entire weekend. And like, yeah, Tom said, it would have been cool at Silverstone. Obviously, Silverstone had never been great at getting anyone big ever.
No.
That's why it's off the calendar for
They have
2019.
pretty horrendous acts. They're pretty much the acts that the people that don't like all this marketing stuff like to listen to. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like,
Bit old
yeah,
school. Yeah.
meh.
You do want a Martin Garrix or, I don't know.
You want
a
something
Diplo
hyped
sort
up.
of
You want something
vibe, yeah.
hyped, high energy.
Yeah.
Who was at
you know.
Mexico when they on the podium, when they turned the podium?
It was
around?
Hardwell.
Yeah,
Hardwell,
Hardwell. Yeah.
Just
And
wanted
I
to,
loved
like-
it because the podium turned around and no one gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Which
especially
is a real
Kimi.
shame.
Yeah.
It's a real shame.
No, but
But,
that's the thing. It's like they need to choose the right markets. That was a really cool thing to see, but also I think they chose the wrong market for that. If they went to the US with Hardwell or went to the
anywhere
German
else.
Grand Prix, where there might be a lot of Dutch fans coming across to the German Grand Prix, you
Yeah.
might get a better reaction there.
Yeah, that'd have
At
been
the end of the day, the countries that speak Spanish, speaking from experience, are not keen on that sort of music. So, for example, that's not going to be as good of a success. They're going to be more interested in, for example, J Balvin or any of these other sort of people that do the more typical Spanish music.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
If you're on a Hardwell, you've got to go to like Silverstone or Belgium or Hungary, and you'll have a
Anywhere
lot
in the
more.
heart
It
of
makes
Europe,
more
really, I
sense.
think, would
But
work.
also, in closing, just one more statement. Not prepared, but I'm going to mention it anyway. F1 Esports now sponsored by DHL, which is quite interesting. Pretty big sponsor for the competition. And also, there is going to be more than one, apparently, starting from this year. So,
Yeah, they
interesting.
wanted. Yeah, there was
and that's
definitely
another
talks of
way
multiple
also
rounds.
of marketing and drawing in a different kind of viewer. So, like personally from experience, I'd love to do league racing again. Sorry. But if esports came on the market, and in my case, my internet was good enough, I'm probably going to lean more towards the esports and league racing full time. So it only makes sense, once again, if you market that correctly, that's another way of F1 exploring a different sort of avenue. So everyone doing all the right things now. At the minute.
Basically, suck it up, marketing, they're doing all right.
Like Cal said in his video, the Halo was not their decision, so don't want them out because that was nothing to do with them. So,
Good
Yeah.
chat. That was
Good
that was
chat.
beefy chat. That was right.
I think it's like you said, like something we're all really passionate about because I think
Yeah,
it's
we're
like,
all massive on the media side, and we're
Because
all
it's-
like
yeah, we're all
Resonates
interested
with
in-
younger.
we're all younger, but also we're all just like media side. Like Cal wants to do stuff like that in uni. Obviously, my job involves that kind of sort of thing. Tom's always been interested as well. So I think it's that just that it's good to see the sport we like is also finally coming into the 21st century in that kind of way, because we three have seen it so many times with YouTube stuff and Twitch stuff, like the way all that ecosystem works and how well it works. So it's kind of like, come on, just hurry up, join us, just get on the bandwagon, get on the throttle and start pumping out campaigns like that. And so it's good to see they're doing all that. The global campaign this year that we kind of started the point off with, it's good to see they've launched it, and we'll see hopefully how it develops. And I think they're going to just build on it and kind of like have a bit of a snowball effect based on how big it gets. But kind of continuing along the same lines of F1 maybe engaging with its fans, I think this was something that you mentioned, Tom, about they did like a helmet vote.
They put out a poll just asking fans.
Was.
And it's these little details that really sort of get interaction.
It's a minor thing, but still.
Yeah, like I think even when we mention it, for example, like you and me, when we do the F1 2018 game idea videos, it's the small details that the F1 fan likes. This also applies to just real life things anyway. So any small detail an F1 fan can get involved in, they're going to appreciate it. So in short, which helmet is the best one from this season's drivers? I'm just going to say Van Dorn to put it out there. I tweeted it out. People seem to disagree with me quite a lot. There's a lot of votes for Bottas.
There's some good helmets.
I like his funky helmet. I like the whole lack of symmetry. It's funky. It's definitely not my personal favorite, but I can appreciate it a lot.
It's a big improvement on the one
Renault
boys he's been in F1. So
very nice helmets as well. Sainz and Hulkenberg. You can also say that Kimi switching it up with a bit of blue as well.
I do like that actually. I do like the blue. It's a different,
It breaks it up from
Hartley,
the red.
That's brought in a nice bit of
Hartley
like,
and Gasly,
And also,
I would say
Marcus
I
Ericsson
like Leclerc's because it's kind of like his old helmet, but he's kind of done it in a different style, kind of upgraded it for F1, if you will.
Who do you say, Arav?
I'll be inclined to maybe go with Tom as well. Van Dorn's is very nice. There was that one picture when
he's gonna be all three of us.
Thing is, Van Dorn,
when he held it up in the pit
lane.
That picture when the sun hit it when he was announcing KFC as his sponsor on the helmet, that shimmer to it, and like there's just the little details, the way he's worked in the two. For me, it works really well, but just to be a little bit different then. So you're going Van Dorn.
I think it's because now the remaining is filled in with just black. Is what makes it really nice, in my opinion, because the white didn't look right. Now it's just black and then the shiny gold and yellow, orange sort of mix, and it looks really, really cool.
I'll go then, just to be a little bit different then. I want to say special mention to Carlos Sainz because I really do appreciate his helmet, because it's that obviously awkward merge between his Red Bull helmet and a Renault style helmet of like the sponsoring, and kind of having to have Red Bull still there as a major sponsor, but kind of a little bit more subtle in a way, because obviously they don't want to kind of be like, it's Red Bull still, but it's a Renault. So they've done that subtle kind of really lovely carbon fiber finish, and it's just in silver, the Red Bull. So a little shout out to that. But just to be different then, I would say Charles Leclerc, I like his helmet. I've liked his designs in the past, and he's kind of just updated it in a way for this year. So I'll appreciate that, but I would be very leaning towards Van Dorn's as well.
Yeah, I've got to go with Van Dorn's. That thing's a work of art.
I like Alonso's more when he's sitting in the car than out of it. I don't know what. There's something about the helmet that looks weird because of the way the lines go, but when he's in the car with the blue highlights in McLaren this year, that also looks really good. Like in terms of a driver pairing, I'd say McLaren's looks the best.
The lines kind of remind me of, do you know them like stock helmets you can get on F1?
Yeah,
It kind of reminded me of that.
So who coloured this in?
Yeah, like in my opinion, basically red and yellow represents Spain, and the blue represents the flag of the region of Spain that he comes from.
Yeah.
But red, blue, and yellow, just in my opinion, doesn't really go. To be honest,
his Daytona one and the one he had for IndyCar, that was done a lot better. This one's kind of it's done better in a way when he's, like you said, sat in the car. It matches the car in it, like, nice complements the blue wings. But out of the car, it's kind of like the IndyCar one was kind of designed a little bit better, and
nothing will beat the IndyCar one in my opinion. Like the matte black, that was pretty gnarly. Nothing's going to beat that one for me.
Nice,
but overall, helmet talk. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, or if you're listening on iTunes or SoundCloud, then maybe I don't know. Can you sort of tag in the part of the audio?
Yeah,
I know you can on SoundCloud. On SoundCloud, you can tag.
Or you can just,
if not, tweet us.
Or you can just tweet us. If you go to the video version, our tweet handles are on the screen. That's the issue, obviously, with having the audio
Pretty
and the video.
straightforward.
At CalHD1, at _Arav and Arava, and at Tom97HD.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. So,
Predictions?
Yeah, let's go on to it. So we do the kind of season, and then we'll do the Australian one then, kind of end it off with the Grand Prix we're going to next week. So season ones. I think we're going to go for basically what's it going to
We've
be?
got a few categories, basically, haven't we?
Yeah.
Sort of, we've
Do
prepared a
you
few
want to take us through?
categories.
Do you want to take us through the categories?
Well, off the top of my head, so basically we're going to go for, they're all going to be pretty much driver and constructor. So we're going to do both for each category. So first of all, we're probably going to kick it off. I'm going to say with season predictions, we'll just go for. So drivers champion, maybe a top 5, and constructors in full.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll start off with that.
Yeah.
So drivers champion, I'm going to say Hamilton. Second place, Sebastian Vettel. And third place, Daniel Ricciardo. Fourth place, Max Verstappen. Fifth place, Kimi Räikkönen.
Right. Okay. Well, the Hamilton fan is going to get pointed at for saying Hamilton world champion, but that's just
No, mate. Aren't you going to go for Ericsson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say because I want Hamilton to
Sorokin,
win.
come on, man.
I'll put Vettel in second, Ricciardo in third, Bottas fourth, and then Raikkonen fifth.
All right. I'm going to go pessimistic as ever, going off what we've maybe heard about testing and just bad feeling in my gut. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to go for Hamilton first, Bottas second. It's going to be a clean sweep. It's going to be a slapping. Mercedes going to slap the grid. All right. Bottas second. Going to go Verstappen third, Vettel fourth, and Rick Bobby in fifth. So.
And then constructors, I'm going to say Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. I might not be alone in that one, I'm going to guess. Renault. This is when it gets interesting because the midfield, I don't know what the hell.
Very tightly
It's
packed.
a lottery. It is a lottery.
I'm going to say Renault or... Renault, Haas, McLaren. I would put McLaren higher, but I think the reliability might bite them in the arse cheeks.
Even though they said today
I think
that they said that they've got over
the raw
that.
speed. McLaren
Yeah, they've got
have
over it,
improved
man.
on
They've
raw
got over it.
speed.
No, they're going to be flawless.
Listen, fake news. I think McLaren have improved in terms of raw speed. I just think the reliability is still a big question mark. I could easily be wrong. I could see McLaren being the fourth best team, but I'm going to say Renault, Haas, McLaren, Toro Rosso, Force India, Sauber, and Williams at the bottom of the pile.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll say Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. Then we'll go... Oh, mine's going to be quite similar to Tom's. Okay, I'll say McLaren, Haas, Renault, Toro Rosso, Force India, Sauber, Williams. I think I've got all the teams there.
All right. You're going to kind of guess what my say is for something else we're going to bring up for predictions, but I'm going to say Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. Going to go with Renault fourth, McLaren fifth, Toro Rosso sixth. Going to go Force India seventh, Haas eighth, ninth Williams, and then 10th Sauber Alfa Romeo. And
So
that takes us on
your
to...
top six is the
Does
same
that take
as
us
mine,
on?
so
Yeah.
That
I'm going to
takes
say,
us
should we
on
take
to
that on to the
then.
flop? Because I feel like
We're
I
gonna
can
go-
spot your
well, I said
flop.
do both, so we'll just
do,
say-
yeah, there's two different ones. There's going to be the dark
surprise
horse,
of the season or dark horse and flop.
dark
I would
horse
do
and
this
flop.
for drivers and constructors. So, driver-wise, surprise, I'm going to say Pierre Gasly. Flop, I'm going to say... Here's a funny thing, because no one knows the story, but I've forgotten what I said. So, as in 24 hours ago, so I'm going to go for something else. So, I'm going to say flop Brendan Hartley. I don't think he will, but there's something in me that just wants to say, you know what? I think he might struggle.
Okay.
Even though I want the fella to succeed. I like the fella, so I want him to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
well,
He's
but I
a
don't
nice
know why.
bloke.
He's a
I'm
very
just,
likeable man. Both of them are.
to be fair, like Rick Bobby, he's got a pretty good smile, so that's pretty contagious. But team-wise, surprise, I'm going to say Haas, which is sort of the rumblings we've been hearing anyway, but I'm going to stick with that. And then flop, I'm going to say Williams.
Okay.
All right, Cal, you wanna go?
The underdog is going to be Romain Grosjean, and the underdog team is going to be Haas. So there's a bit of a correlation there. And then I'll say flop, Sergei Sorokin, and team-wise, Williams. Yeah, I may as well
Small
put two and two
disclaimer.
together.
I do want to just say Stroll, Sorokin, and Williams and everything, but I feel like it's just a bit too obviously harsh. So that's why I went for Hartley, something a bit more.
I don't think it's
yeah,
also surprising. I think most people think that.
Yeah, to be fair, the underdog and the flop's supposed to be a surprise, but
No, but I mean, like,
I've
we're
got
all
quite
pretty much
easy
going
there.
to say give or take the same thing. So it's just to say something different, you know.
I'm going to go full on, like I've been tweeting, I'm going to really get behind the meme itself, right? So, the dark horse team is going to be Toro Rosso, Honda in. The flop is going to be Haas. I'm going to say everyone's going to be wrong about them being good. They're going to be great for maybe 5 races, and then they're going to just go down the order. That's what I think.
Material.
Probably not. I'm just saying it for the meme, but there you go. Drivers, in lieu of that, I'm going to say the underdog. Since Tom went flop Brendan Hartley, I'll say Brendan Hartley, because I would usually probably lean towards Gasly, because I want him to do well on that Toro Rosso. That's hopefully decent. I could also say someone like maybe Van Dorn, maybe,
Van Dorn crossed my mind.
If he outshadowed Alonso in some way, that would be a pretty crazy thing. But I'm going to go for Brendan Hartley. I think he's going to do pretty damn well and match or even beat Gasly, I think, with the experience he's got. And then flop, I'm just going to go for... There's a lot of flops, really, to be honest. I'm going to go for Stroll, just because I don't think he's going to match anything that other people might think he might do. I think
Sorokin might beat him quite convincingly.
I think there are some people who are defensive of Stroll because of some of the stuff he showed last season, but I think he's really just not going to pull it out of the bag this year at all. So that's my flop. Has that been our season predictions?
So basically,
whoa. We forgot about Australia predictions.
Yeah, I know.
Tom, that's why I said season predictions.
Just basically compare everything we just said then.
We was wrapping this up, so
that's why I said that's our season predictions. Now let's get on to Australia.
Right, I stand corrected.
Right, so Australia, obviously next week. So the next podcast will be the race review one. So let's you can hard cut from then to now, from here to now, from here to then about our predictions.
Poll and top 5, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do poll and then top 5 in the race. So Tom's gonna kick us off.
Position, I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
And in the race, I'm going to go completely against my predictions and say Sebastian Vettel's going to win, because I think Ferrari, they'll start off better than what I think and what everyone else thinks. I'm not convinced that they'll be able to progress as well as Red Bull and Mercedes, because if you look at last season, especially Red Bull, as the season went on, they just got so strong. And even Mercedes as well. Like, once they got on top of that car, they were untouchable, in my opinion. So I think Ferrari might struggle in the latter end of the season. Also, I'm going to say Vettel wins, closely followed by Hamilton, closely followed by Ricciardo, closely followed by Verstappen, and then a long way behind will be Kimi Räikkönen, which is my top 5 in the championship anyway. So there you go, except for Hamilton winning instead of Vettel.
All right.
I'm going to say pole position. Let's get a bit of hype for the Aussies. I'm going to say then Ricciardo take pole position.
Big up the Honey Badger.
Yeah, beef up the 2014 momentarily when he got pole, and all of Albert Park erupted till Hamilton came across the line.
That was
and then in the race, let's see if we have a good race. Lewis Hamilton wins. Ricciardo comes second. I'm predicting some mayhem into turn 1. Ricciardo second. Let's say Bottas third. Verstappen 4th.
Oh dear.
Hulkenberg 5th. Ferrari's out at turn 1.
Oh dear, Ferrari fans.
Oh dear.
Okay, I'm gonna go pole Verstappen. I reckon that Red Bull is gonna be pretty nippy over one lap, and the Mercs are going to be secretly just amazing in the race. So Hamilton to win it then, closely followed by Verstappen. Bottas third. Vettel just about wrestles it to 4th, just ahead of Ricciardo in 5th then.
All right. Quite contrasting.
So,
and this is where every single one of our predictions is going to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
someone else completely wins.
It's something that I think people take pleasure out of seeing, especially the season ones, from the start to the end of the season, how wrong we are. It's always fantastic. Of just like we feel so confident about everything, and it just gets blown out the water.
It's just impossible to predict any sort of sport.
It's difficult.
Whatever you think, you apply logic, and it's just like
it's difficult.
It gets completely thrown out. But let's see how we go. To be fair, we've waited long enough, and the season is now finally upon us.
I think that's where we'll wrap it up. So the next podcast will be the race review for Australia. As we said at the very beginning, that's going to be out on the Monday after. So just another plug, kind of, if you do enjoy these podcasts, and if you want I'm guessing fewer people maybe that listens all the way through to this point in the podcast, then if you really do want to help us out, maybe in any sort of way, if you've ever thought about that before, you can really help us out by even just chipping in something as small as $1 to us a month on Patreon. That really go a long way. Hopefully stepping up, keeping the quality like we're going to be doing, and trying to help out, boost it where we can. But yeah, a reminder, you can get us audibly if you have listened to this, if you are watching this on the video version. If you do want to get this on the go ever in the future, Pitlane Podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud. You can check out our sponsors as well, GT Omega, and use the code Pitlane F1. That also helps us out as well. If you get anything from there using the code. But that's been episode number 75, and I guess we'll catch you then for the start of the season. You know, this time next week, the season would have had its first race, and well, we'll be raring to go. Let's hope it's a good one. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, rest of the week, and here's to a great 2018 F1 season. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.